We're at the County Administration Building, and we're going to interview Ron Roberts, the County Supervisor. He's at the forefront of a lot of changes that are happening now, and there seems to be a lot of energy lately to solve this out. Hi, Ron. I'm Tony.
Hi, Tony.
Nice to meet you. I heard you had some, in your earlier days, some housing issues, like I have.
We arrived in San Diego as a family years ago, and I would have never acknowledged, in a sense, that we were home. Another family took us in. In fact, the first few nights, there was some of the nuns from Mercy Hospital, and we slept in an attic on a house that they had over by Balboa Park. And then a cab driver, when my dad was looking to see if there was somewhere he could afford housing, but housing was very tight. So we six of us lived in one bedroom in a house in Logan Heights until we moved up on a list that gave us a place in public housing.
We were here 7 months ago, and I remember looking up at your picture and some other people's pictures, and we were saying, wow, I wonder if they could help us, you know, we could have a word with them, and we were having a difficulty in getting time to talk with people, but now we're able to. It seems like the momentum here in San Diego is growing toward solving this issue of homelessness. What do you attribute that to?
I think we've reached a sort of a crisis level that exceeds anything in the past. You know, that's my unscientific analysis. I think there are people like myself, I'm not unique, who have decided, okay, let's see what we can do. There are people in the private sector as well as in government. It's just, and it isn't going to get done just by government. So what we've been doing is saying, okay, who do we work with? How do we elevate this? There's an interest in the public, but at the end of the day, you got to put ideas out that are doable ideas. And so that's kind of what I've sought. I've sought a lot of expert advice. I mean, the number of hours of my schedule that are going into this today are overwhelming.
Yeah, I bet.
But there's a lot of genuinely good people. Now, everybody has a different idea of what you're supposed to do or could do. And what you need to do is figure out, okay, how do we orchestrate this? How do we get people, okay, maybe there's elements that they work on individually, but at the end of the day, we all have to be kind of in a common system, and that's kind of what I feel my job is now. But I think it's a public awareness, a private awareness, and a political awareness that are all coming together in a sense. It's a good storm.
It seems to me like there's a lot of ideas of what to do. You know, put a camp by the border. You know, and put the money into a tent. You know, long term and nothing short term, and just ideas all over the place. How do you in government get that to decide? Like in Houston, they said, okay, we're gonna trim this down. We're gonna only do what we know will work and has worked in other places. How do you get people on the same page with, you know, with all the different ideas?
Well, you know, we're going through a planning process so we can buy into a common set of ideas. You know, I got involved with these two combined committees that, you know, what I'm finding they were there, but they weren't giving us coordinated, integrated programs. And I think what we're trying to do now is say, let's get a coordinated set of ideas. That doesn't mean every idea that's out there is a good idea. I know what's happened in Houston. I know what's happened in Phoenix. I know what's happened in Seattle. And I know what happened in Salt Lake. And the guy that we've just brought in has had extensive experience. And I think it's going to help us a lot. Because what you're putting your finger on, what are the priorities? What are you going to, if you have limited resources, money and property and other things, you want to make sure you get the maximum benefit out of those. And there's a lot of good ideas. I tell people, okay, if they have ideas that don't sort of fit my plan, that doesn't mean they can't go off and do them. It just is, I got to concentrate on the things that are going to give us the most robust outcomes here in the not too distant future.
I have a lot of respect for you for for taking the lead on it too. You're on your way out. I mean, you can take it easy. You don't have to do
Well,
anything, you know. But no, you're right in there.
No, in fact, my friends have said, "Are you nuts?" Because everybody knows this is a very difficult issue.
Yeah.
If it was simple, somebody would have figured it out a long time ago. What I'm hopeful, and whatever time I have left, I can at least position us so that we're there. Things have started to happen. Things that are going to happen, and that there's a longer range view on where we're going.
What's your opinion on the cost of the immediate shelters, like the tents, are pretty high? It seems like that would divert some of the money for the longer term solution. How do you justify
Yeah, you're always faced with this. I mean, you see people on the streets, and your first instinct is, okay, I got to get them off. But we have to make sure that if we're looking at interim solutions, that again they're integrated with what we're doing. We got to be able to, if we take somebody off the streets, we really need to know we're only going to put them into a facility in a temporary way, and we've got to assess them. We have to find options for them, and we have to get them out. A shelter's not a final solution. It can be helpful. It can be helpful as an assessment center. It can be helpful in getting us medical and other services that are needed. But I think we've got to be careful and not think that that's the long-term solution. I mean, I think the whole idea of housing first is that you're going to be looking at more of a permanent solution as opposed to a transitional or temporary solution.
I heard there's a $25 million county program that's going to be in place. Is that going to be enough? I mean, it seems like we need more to solve this problem.
Well, first of all, Tony, what we're going to do with that money, we're not going to just go out and take $25 million and do a project. Gordon Walker, who's our new guy that we brought in from Salt Lake, he feels that $25 million is going to leverage $250 million. We're going to make a lot bigger splash than $25 million.
Yes.
And he's talked about how they've done it in Salt Lake, how you approach the banks, how you basically multiply that many times over. But the one thing that I don't think a lot of the people in the public have realized, the 11 properties that we are making available are worth way more than that money. And that's what he's acknowledging. He said, Ron, with that money in those properties, we're talking about a huge change in terms of San Diego. Wow. And he said, now it's going to take us a while to get things going. We got to figure out on each property what we're doing and who we're going to partner with. But he said a little bit of money in a piece of property leverages into many times. He says easily 10 to 1.
I read the article about you where you have 1,000 homes and they're going to be $100,000 per unit, where it would cost 400 and something thousand.
I'm an architect, Tony, by profession.
I know that.
So I look at things differently. But let me say, the first thing I want to do is a pilot program for senior housing. So it's a niche. It's not necessarily for all types of housing.
I see.
And while they're small, we're looking at 400 to maybe 500 square feet per unit, which gives you a pretty good size living unit. I feel very comfortable, and I'm working with a group of architects who are feeling very confident that we're going to do a pilot program. I'm shooting for at least 40 units per acre, and I'm shooting to get those costs down. I don't want to go into numbers, but I'm shooting for numbers that are well below $100,000 a unit. Now that's for seniors housing. Okay, that may give us some knowledge on how to use similar models for other kinds of housing, but I thought let's start there. And there's some good reasons, because you can do that if you locate the property right. They don't need cars. In fact, you can develop a project without cars. So a lot of the property then doesn't get sucked into housing a car. It's focused on housing. So in some sense, I'm not criticizing the people who are spending more, but I'm saying I think there are models out there that we can create that will bring in the cost per unit significantly less. And when we do that, you know what happens? More people get housing for a given amount of money then. And that's
makes sense.
That's my goal, is to show that there are ways to get more people into housing at lower. When I see $400,000 a unit, I know Governor Brown goes nuts when he hears that. And I feel equally that
Me too.
we need to be working differently. We need to be thinking differently. Are these going to be grandiose living units? No. Are they going to be comfortable and very livable? Absolutely. And I want to see that the grounds, the environment, is really positive for the people that live there.
So I know we're making steps in the right direction to solve this issue. Do you foresee a bond measure coming up?
There's a lot of discussion going on right now, and I'm sure you're aware. And it varies. I hear different amounts of money. The fact of the matter, any money would be helpful. But I think, as we've seen what's happened in other places, Los Angeles for sure. And I mean, if there were dedicated funds, that certainly would be a very positive thing. How much, where's the public support levels for something like that? A lot of work has to be done. And how would you use it? You can't just say we want it. This pool of money, we're not sure what we're going to do with it. But that's probably not the makings of a good campaign. But I think it's very likely that in November of 2018 that there will be something here on a local ballot. That I'd be extremely surprised if there wasn't. But we got a lot of work to do before we can say what does that look like and what areas does it cover.
I know early on it was a lot of finger pointing between the city and the county, and they're in your city, well, but you have your things that you do, and the city has their things, and nobody's solving the issue. Are you guys working together?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think today there's far more cooperation. We know that the brunt of the problem is falling in the city, but I intend to. I mean, I've already alerted mayors in a lot of other cities. We got to do this regionally. It can't be just the city of San Diego. And I need to involve them. In fact, I'm going to be bringing this into an arena where it hasn't been discussed before and start to inform them and share with them the numbers and the counts and other things. So I'm trying to bring a lot of people who have sort of been on the fringe. But the city and the county are working well together. A lot of the sites that I've talked about are in the city of San Diego. So to develop those, we're going to need the cooperation from the city, and I'm working with planning people and other people at the city, including all the elected officials, and they're interested. I mean, they want to work together. We can't be working in silos, okay? There is no one organization, there's no one agency that's going to solve these things. We really got to have a far broader approach and a lot stronger teamwork on this. And I feel like the grounds are there for it. We all, I think, would like help people get their lives squared away, to be able to live in a healthy environment, and it's not sitting back and handing things. It's helping the people to be able to really to participate, to be able to be a part of the community in a positive way. And I'll be happy when that happens. I feel like, our family was given a chance because there was a lot of people. We didn't have the agencies and everything that we had to deal with, but even public housing that used to be, Linda Vista, where I grew up, was over 3,000 public housing units. If I were to say today, we're going to build 3,000 public housing units, everybody would faint. Okay, so we're going to tackle it in a public-private partnerships. We're going to do it, and it's going to be decentralized in a sense, and hopefully we'll see all over this county a far healthier population, and whether they're individuals or families or just right across the board, see if we can make a little better life for the people that are out there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, Tony. Nice talking to you.
Right. I'm amazed that he's on his way out, his term's ending, and he's putting all this energy into this. I mean, he's seen the need for it, and he's taken the lead.